Dr. Lewis, I just wanted to quickly check in with you and go over a few things related to class. Thank you, first of all, for posting your videos and interacting with one another, getting to know each other. And it was fun watching your videos, and I'm delighted at how many creative types we have in our class. This will be really fun, and I hope that you will take that opportunity to use and leverage your creativity and your artistic talents when you are posting in the discussion board. Feel free to do something like I'm doing right now, like a screenshot with a voiceover, or just an audio recording of your response, or you can type your responses, or you can create like infographics and insert graphics and photos or little videos. You can do video responses to discuss what you're learning in each of the chapters and things like that. So it doesn't have to be strictly typed, text discussion in the discussion board. So feel free to be creative with that. And if you save a little video clip of you talking about what you want to talk about each week or whatever, sort of like a video log, just be sure to save it as an unlisted YouTube video so that everybody can access it. Sometimes with different platforms, it's hard for some to, depending whether you have a Mac or a PC, to access. But I encourage you to do that, to mix it up and try new things. So I just wanted to touch base on a couple of things with the syllabus to make sure that everybody's clear. First of all, we're going to be working through the course, which is a compressed time frame, in 6 weeks. So we've already, accomplished the first week. One of the reasons why I have you do a video and a typed introduction of yourself in the discussion board and respond to each other is it serves as a low stakes sort of formative assessment to see whether you all can, mediate the kinds of technology necessary to be able to do what you're going to need to be able to do for your final assignment. So in a low stakes environment, getting to know each other, I can see that everybody can navigate the technology. You're in the Blackboard, and you can record and you can upload and do all those kinds of things. So it kind of does double duty, not only just getting to know you, but also I can see that you can manage all the technology that's needed to be successful in the course. So that's a little insight into that. So first of all, the assigned reading for each week, you should have already read for next week, because we'll be discussing it next week. And then while we're discussing chapters 1, 2, and 3, you'll be reading the next set of chapters for the following week's discussion. So you want to have them all read, have notes, and be prepared before the discussion starts. So the assigned reading is from our e-text, and as you will see, there are a number of different resources. There are embedded videos, podcasts, simulations. There's all kinds of extra support to enhance the reading. And so I highly recommend that you take the time to view those so that you have multiple ways to learn about the material in the textbook. So it's not just strictly reading, there's multimedia materials in there. And I'll post some too along the way, supplemental to the e-text. There are Quiz Me and Stop and Think activities also in Pearson MyLab in addition to the tests, and those are simply to enhance your learning. They're not graded, and they don't, they're there for you to leverage as study tools and to check yourself before you take the tests to make sure that you understand things. And they kind of give you a model for what the questions on the test may look like. So we have the assigned readings and then our asynchronous discussions. So each week, each module, we'll be having online discussions, sort of like what we had this week in Blackboard, and you're expected to participate on at least 3 different days. Please note that, because I cannot give you full credit for participation in the discussion if you only go in and read and respond on one day during the week. So most of you did that this week. You were in there. A couple of you were only in there one day. I can pull reports through Blackboard so I can see which days and how many times that you've responded and all that. So make sure that you log in and you respond and interact with each other on at least 3 different days. Now, of course, it's asynchronous, so you can do that at any time, day or night, just drop in, and if you get the Blackboard app on your phone, you can do it on your phone from anywhere at any time. You can follow the discussion. So one of the things I like to do in the discussion is I go in every day and I click on the right up-hand corner where it says unread posts, and I click on that so it only shows me those posts I haven't read yet or responded to yet. And so if I do that every day, I can follow the discussion really easily. So you might try that. So you don't have to scroll down through, the whole week's worth of discussion. So to earn an A for participation, you have to contribute in the discussion in meaningful exchanges, not just way to go, on 3 different days in each discussion time frame. And the highest grade you can earn for participating on 2 different days would be a B. No matter how eloquent and fabulous your insights are, if you only participate on 2 different days, that's not full participation that week. And the highest grade for participating on only 1 day during the discussion is a C. So just bear that in mind when you're planning your time to participate, and make sure that your participation is substantive. So that I often recommend that you compose your insights, your questions, your commentary or remarks separately, and then either cut it and paste it in or record your discussion of a point that you really want to share, and then post a link to that audio or that video. But preparing it in advance, make sure that it is meaningful in adding to the discussion. So this is your opportunity in the discussion to demonstrate that you have done the reading, that you're understanding it, that you're learning it, you're integrating it into your funds of knowledge that you already have developed. And then, of course, it's flexible, so you can participate at any time. And you can participate as often as you want. It's just the minimum of 3 different days during the week, and that's what keeps the discussion going. Otherwise, everybody would come in and discuss on the very last day. And then that would be overwhelming to all of us and not really a discussion. So there'll be some facilitation prompts. You may come up with some. You may see some questions or some topics in the reading that you'd like to discuss, and you can pose them. You can pose meaningful questions of your own or share your own insights or aha moments. Make thoughtful comments and connect the course content as applied in practice. How you imagine or how you've seen what you're reading about happening in real life examples. So you can also include like TED Talks about certain topics, or blogs posts, or websites that you've seen, or research articles, or video clips, or other media that illustrates what your point is or elaborates on what we're reading about. So share specific examples from your own life, from what you've observed, to illustrate your points. So the discussions are expected to be, higher order thinking, analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating, and exemplifying your creativity and your thinking and innovative ways to think about things. So you're helping yourself learn, and you're also helping each other understand and learn. Be reflexive and conscientious as you read and prepare your contributions for our discussions, and be sure to read your classmates. You do not have to respond to every single classmate, but select those responses from your classmates that really resonate with you, and respond back to that person or to the group saying, wow, what so-and-so said really, hit me, and I was like, oh, now I get it, or whatever. But make those connections. And if you have technical difficulties, it's always good to have that your post prepared in advance in a separate format so that you don't lose it. If you compose in Blackboard, sometimes there are technical difficulties and you lose what you've composed in there. So just saying, if you have a big thought that you're going to put in there, make sure that you compose it and then cut and paste it in. Our online discussions reflect professional discourse, so make sure that what you are writing and how you're responding reflects your own professional dispositions. It's not a text messaging situation, it's a more professional discourse. For example, when you are referencing a concept, be sure to cite the page from the text, or if you provide supplemental materials, provide a link so that everybody can access those supplemental materials that you're referring to. Add citations or whatever, but for example, say, make sure that you respond with the name of the person you're responding to so that we can follow along. So for example, oh, I appreciate your story, Dr. Lewis. I had a similar experience, and this is how I interpret what would be the most appropriate way to handle it. And this is what I did, and this, according to our e-text on page X, I should have done this, or that's why this happened, or whatever. But this is your opportunity in the discussion, and it's worth the most in weighing your grade. So make sure that these discussions are really meaningful and reflect your learning. The chapter tests are mutually beneficial to kind of give you a check-in to see how much you are recalling from the e-text and processing and understanding. And it also gives me sort of a formative check-in to make sure that you all are reading and getting it from a more formal standpoint. There are questions on the tests and in the supplemental quiz-mes that are modeled after the PPR test, so and reflect the competencies that you're going to need for those tests for certification. So, pay attention to how things are worded and get acclimated to how to take that kind of test. I recommend that you take notes while you're reading so that you have those to refer to when you're taking your tests. It's an open book test, but they're timed, so you don't have enough time to look up every answer. What I recommend doing, using it as a learning opportunity, use your notes, refer to them, and then that's another exposure to the material while you're taking the test. Tests are just part of the learning process. So make sure that you attend to that and do your best. So the final presentation, this is something that you might want to start working on throughout the term and not leave to the last week. As you're seeing points in our reading and our discussion that are salient to you, you might be taking notes on that, preparing, making an outline, deciding the format that you want to do. It could be like a professional talk, like a TED Talk, that you video yourself presenting this talk to us, or you can do a voiceover PowerPoint or a Prezi with voiceover and audio recordings and video embedded in it. You can create an infographic and do a screen capture, kind of like I'm doing right now, recording yourself talking through your infographic that summarizes the concepts that inform best practices that you selected, and those images too. You can create an interactive game. You can propose a unit of study. You can develop an interview protocol and conduct a semi-structured interview videoed of a teacher or an educator or a learner that and then analyze their responses as seen through the concepts and the lenses that we've used in this course, and then write up an expository essay of that experience. You could record a podcast. You can do anything really creative that you like to do. There's something called a journey line that's would be a nice visual graphic to use and speak to as you discuss your journey of learning through the course, or a reflective journal portfolio or an electronic portfolio, elaborating on and further illustrating discussion posts throughout the course and the analysis of your learning. Be creative. This final project, I'm hoping that each one will be different and insightful and creative and really reflect those key concepts that have really hit home with you and resonate with your own learning and should be directed towards what will be important to you in your future as an educator and what's the most informative parts of this course. So you will post your live link to that final presentation in the 6th module. And then we'll be viewing each other's and discussing each other's final presentations, providing feedback to each other. So like I said, you might want to start planning on and thinking about that now and not wait till the end of this term, because before you know it, you're going to blink and we'll be finishing the course. If you scroll down through, there are some tips for success that you might want to refresh your memory. The netiquette, make sure that you understand the expectations. There is no late work because we have no time. And make sure that you leverage the time management skills that you have to make sure that you are able to be successful in the course. You're going to need to self-regulate your own progress. And then the calendar of activities is key. You might want to print it out so you have this readily on hand. Everything is due by end of day, which is 11:59 p.m., essentially midnight on Sundays. And then the following week starts immediately thereafter on Monday morning. So Module 2, you can see what's expected of you. These pages, I take about 5 minutes a page to read. So I calculated out approximately how much time it would take you to read, I'm assuming. If English is not your first language, or you're a faster or slower reader than I am, I'm not a particularly fast reader, but you might want to time yourself, put a timer on for 10 minutes and read like you are reading to learn and take notes just like you're going to do for each chapter. And then at the end of 10 minutes, see how many pages you read, and then calculate it out and see if it's similar to the amount of time it takes me. But that's to give you a ballpark figure on what, number of hours to work into your schedule to make sure that you complete the reading on time. So for Module 2, during this past week, you should have spent probably 10 hours on the reading of chapters 1 through 3, and then we'll be discussing them next week. That's just a tool to kind of help you manage your time. So that might be, breaking it up into 30-minute reading segments, reading twice a day for 30 minutes, or 4 times a day for 30 minutes to make sure that you can recall what you read. So this calendar is helpful, I think, to keep you on track, exactly when things are due, what's due. It's also in Blackboard, but it might be nice to have it at hand readily on your refrigerator or whatever so that you don't overlook anything. I've tried to keep it pretty simple. So essentially you have the reading, you have the tests, and you have the discussion board and the final project. So that's in a nutshell, just kind of a reminder and to welcome you, and also just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page about the expectations for the course. And I look forward to next week's discussion of chapters 1, 2, and 3. And I hope that the final project is something that gets you excited and that you will use your creative talents in the process. Okay, well, I will see you in the discussion board. Have a great week.